Speaking of fun football brands that play tough schedules, the next team on our list is getting the wrath of the ACC. This schedule is disgusting. We're talking about the Syracuse Orange. Fran Brown worked what felt like a little bit of a miracle last year. That team went 10-3. They were fun as heck to watch. At home, on the road, it was truly an entertaining bout. They end Miami's season at the very end of that schedule, and really explosive fashion, keep them out of the college football playoff. But they are replacing a ton of production this year. And it feels like a combination of the production, trying to find new faces, very talented faces, as Brown continues to recruit at a high level, but getting new guys kind of installed in that system, plus one of the hardest schedules in the country. Man, it's going to make Syracuse a very fascinating watch this year.
Yeah, just starting with that production that they're losing. The leading FBS passer last year in Kyle McCord, LaQuinn Allen, who had over 1,000 yards rushing. The top three receiving options are gone. So there's a lot to figure out on the offensive side of the ball. How do you feel about Steve Angeli? Because I'm kind of high on this guy. I think he flashed a little bit at Notre Dame last year, but certainly not the caliber of transfer, I guess, that Kyle McCord was when he came over. But I guess just really quickly throwing it back to you, do you have any strong Steve Angeli thoughts? Because I think that kind of frames the rest of the offense for me.
Yeah, I think the offense in theory could look very similar to what it did last year. Like schematically, I think Air Raid Angeli steps in and can do all the things on paper that Kyle McCord did with that offense. So there's that conformity, right? Where in continuity, where you're not going from like Jacksonville State running it 70 times a game to now we're going to air it out with Gavin Wimsatt for some reason. You've got a similar track that the offense can operate off of. So that certainly is going for them. I think Steve's fine. I think, had he been forced to be the starter or elected the starter at Notre Dame, I think the Irish would have been a winning football team. But it is interesting seeing him now go to the Dome and, kind of pick up where Kyle McCord left off.
Yeah, I think that I don't think he's going to he's not going to lead the FBS in passing, right?
No,
But I think that
probably
he
not.
can put up numbers. I think he can drive this bus on offense. I'm a little worried about the supporting cast. You've got, like I mentioned, LaQuinn Allen gone, replacing him with Yasny Willis. He's a true freshman last year, so adjusting to college football, but only 3.6 yards per carry. You'd like to see a little bit more burst and a little bit more wiggle to get confidence there. The top three receiving options are gone. Daryl Gill was kind of a big play specialist last year. I think he averaged over 20 yards per catch, but they also brought in Jonte Cook. Never really got a firm connection with Quinn Ewers, but the talent is certainly there. Coming up from Texas, Justin Ross Simmons is going to get a full season. He missed the first half of last year with an injury, so
Yep.
maybe getting some more consistency there. But there's a lot of questions around that supporting cast, and hopefully Angeli can kind of be a rising tide that lifts all ships type of situation.
That would be the best case scenario for the Orange, to have a quarterback that just makes everybody around him better. I think that's best case for Fran Brown and company because yeah, there's a lot of unknown. I mean, Jonte Cook, like the ceiling is the roof with him as far as talent goes and potential goes. Dude's just got to stay out of his own way and stay on the field, right? I mean, he was at Washington for I don't even know that he ordered the cup of coffee before he was thrown off the team in Seattle. So yeah, I'm it's going to be a fun watch, and I'm rooting for Fran Brown because I think the brand is a lot of fun, and having Syracuse not just be kind of the token like, oh, you don't want to go to the Dome to play because you might lose, but having them be a legitimate threat in the ACC, I think is amazing for that conference, amazing for college football. Flip it over to the defensive side as well. They lost a lot of guys on the defensive line specifically. They had to turn to the portal to beef up that interior. They lose a guy to Texas and so on and so forth. They've got the secondary is full of experienced guys, dudes that you've probably heard their name, like Deuce Chestnut, been around for a minute, transferred to LSU, started at Syracuse, transferred to LSU. He's back. This is his second season since coming back. And they finished 82nd in the country, so they were fine. They were average, literally average. I wonder if they can push towards being more of that top half. If they can get inside the top 70, I start to feel a lot better about that defense. But brother, questions on offense, not like just feeling amazing about defense and going, these are my stalwarts. These are the guys that are getting those stops in the red zone every single time. These are the bend but don't break pieces. Plus the schedule, man, it gets tricky very quick to get Syracuse to a bowl game.
Yeah, you said it. I On the defense real quick, I actually do feel pretty good about the front seven. They
Okay.
had to churn through a lot of guys last year because of injuries, so that's kind of a blessing for this year. They have 7 defensive linemen actually on the squad that started at least one game for them last year. So got a little bit of experience, got to kind of get trial by fire last year. I like their linebackers as well. Gary Bryant from South Dakota, he had over 100 tackles last year. You
Yeah.
got Derek McDonald back as well, but you mentioned the secondary. Corner is a big concern. And especially when you look at that schedule that they're going to face, they're going to play a Tennessee team right off the bat that is going to want to air it out. I don't know if Tennessee is going to be able to air it out, but Syracuse might not have the corners to keep up with SEC wide receivers. Then you just go down the list, man, and it's a who's who of contenders in this conference. They go to Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame for good measure. Like let's just throw a game at the Fighting Irish in there. And then if you're looking for maybe some reprieve on the home schedule, they host Duke, Pitt, North Carolina, and Boston College. So
Sheesh.
I just wrote my word. That doesn't even count a UConn team that won 9 games that they get at home this year as well. So it's according to Phil Steele, it's the 5th hardest schedule in the entire country. I would love to see who has the 4 teams that have tougher schedules than Syracuse, because I bet they're playing in the SEC, and I bet they're also playing a big Power 5 opponent.
Yeah, it's there's no on ramp to the season, especially not playing Tennessee and then UConn as their home opener. I will say this though. Last episode, I talked about Boston College picking off SMU, and Syracuse is in a similar boat where I really like a lot of the talent on this team. I adore Fran Brown. I have bought in. I believe that he's got this program trending in the right direction. Was not one of the first ones on the boat last year. I really wanted to see what he did at a program that, at least since the Big East days, has struggled to be championship relevant in college football. And he turned them into a 10-win program. And so I certainly see the vision, and I see a path forward for Syracuse. And because of that, they're one of the teams that I try and pick off an upset when I look down the schedule. And I'll tell you, Tennessee out of the gate, we just don't know what their offense is actually going to look like, right? Like I've got my doubts about so many layers for the Volunteers. We talked about that in our SEC preview. If I had to go on record, I think Syracuse might win the opener in Atlanta over Tennessee.
Boy, you talk about a game that, if that is a result that could shift the perceptions of not just those 2 programs this season, but the entire SEC. Like, what do we do with a win over Tennessee the rest of the year for a team in the SEC if they're a team that lost to Syracuse, who then goes on to struggle in the ACC? What do we think about Syracuse as being a potential massive wrench in the wheels of an ACC title contender if they can knock off the big bad SEC team in Tennessee? That would be absolutely massive, and something that I don't think anybody is considering across the college football space right now.
Well, maybe they should be, because again, it's possible. Through Fran Brown, I think Syracuse can reach new heights and a new level of consistency. So, man, if you're looking for a team to tune into on a week-to-week basis and just watch some probably pretty good football, I think Syracuse is one of those top contenders to throw in the old YouTube TV quad box.